is the booster. Not only is the first stage the largest part of the rocket, but it's also the portion of the rocket that we attempt to land for future reuse. Reusability is a critical part of our goal of making life multiplanetary. Every mission provides valuable information on repeated launch, and reusability also allows us to refly the most expensive parts of the rocket. That, in turn, drives down the cost of access to space. Right now, we're working on qualifying our fleet of Falcon boosters and fairings to support 40 missions each. After liftoff, Falcon 9's first stage accelerates through the Earth's atmosphere and into space using 9 Merlin M1D engines, which you have a great view of right there on your screen, eventually separating from the rest of the rocket and returning to Earth to be reused. Stage 2 will then continue to its target altitude, where it will deploy today's payloads. After stage separation, the booster will be returning to landing zone 4 at Vandenberg Space Force Base.
Engine chill has started.
There's confirmation that engine chill has started on board Falcon. And to date, we have landed a Falcon booster 301 times. Now turning our attention back to Falcon 9 on the pad today, above the first stage is the second stage, which has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine that ignites after the first stage separates. This is what will carry the WorldView Legion satellites into orbit. And located above the second stage is the payload fairing, which is the large barrel structure at the top of the rocket. At 17 feet in diameter, the carbon composite fairing protects the satellites on their way to orbit. Those fairing halves are then jettisoned approximately 3 minutes into flight. The fairing halves supporting today's mission are both flight proven, with one half flying for its 16th time and the other flying for its 13th. After separation from the second stage, both fairing halves will return to Earth and be recovered by our teams. Now at T-minus 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Falcon 9 is tracking no issues and the payload is healthy. Falcon 9 has been loading propellants since T-minus 35 minutes and should finish loading at about T-minus 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes from now. The range is ready to support and weather is looking good for our mission this morning, but if for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at the same time. Next up, the transporter erector, or the TE, will retract away from Falcon. That's the large truss structure that you see next to the rocket on your screen. Hopefully, we'll get a view here through those clouds of oxygen venting from around the vehicle to see those clamp arms open up around the base of stage 2.
Strongback retract in progress.
There's confirmation that the strongback is pulling away from Falcon 9. So right now, we're just retracting slightly, but at T-minus 0, ground hydraulic systems will pull the TE even further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. The first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, but the structure is hinged to allow that retraction we just saw. You also heard it referred to as the strongback from the launch team, and it does a lot of heavy lifting in the lead up to launch. We use the TE both to roll the rocket out to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. Then the TE is also what we use to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and payload. That is, until Falcon 9 switches to internal power and clears the pad. Now, at this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
Right on time there. We've got the call out that stage 1 LOX load is complete. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll expect to hear that second stage call out in about 45 seconds. Now again, those white clouds you see around the vehicle is just chilled gas from above the liquid oxygen tank that we vent overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed. When that vented oxygen comes out into the California air, it condenses into clouds. At T-minus 60 seconds, we should hear the call out that Falcon 9 has entered startup mode. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Then, just inside of T-minus 2 seconds, we light the M1D engines for liftoff. With just about 2 minutes to go, the 2 WorldView Legion satellites continue to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket, and weather is still looking green. The range is also ready to support.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
There's that call out that stage 2 LOX load has also been completed, and the range is standing by to support our T0 time of 11:36 a.m. Pacific.
Current gas closeouts.
With that, we are stepping into the final minutes of terminal count.
Falcon 9 isn't started.
There's confirmation that Falcon 9 is on internal power and that Stage 1 and Stage 2 have begun pressurizing for launch.
LD is go for launch.
There you heard our launch director give the final go for launch. So at T-minus 38 seconds, all systems are go for launch of Falcon 9 with the WorldView Legion satellites on board.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And the wind block is out now, so take that, go WorldView Legion. Vehicle pitching gun range.
You should also see those two fairing halves jettisoned.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
And back ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Falcon 9's first stage,
Trajectories.
there's confirmation that both the first and second stage are still on nominal trajectories.
Stage 1 transonic.
Confirmation there that Stage 1 is transonic.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Stage 2 FDS has saved.
Right now, we're standing by for landing of Falcon back on landing zone 4 at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Confirmation there of the 20th launch and landing for this first stage. This is the third booster to complete 20 flights. And this landing marks SpaceX's 302nd recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Meanwhile, up in space, we're continuing to get beautiful views from our second stage. Again, today's two WorldView Legion satellites will replace a portion of Maxar's existing constellation, joining over 95 Maxar-built satellites already in orbit. Maxar combines frequent monitoring over key areas of change with scalable analytics to deliver near real-time information to their customers. The WorldView Legion satellites on board Stage 2 today are the beginning of a new generation of satellite made to image the Earth more frequently and at higher resolution than ever before. WorldView Legion will support multiple kinds of data collection, allowing one platform to support both monitoring
Stage
and
2,
mapping
confirm all
missions.
guidance.
Now we are standing by for confirmation of second engine cutoff 1, expected in just about 10 seconds.
MVAC shutdown.
There's confirmation of MVAC shutdown.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And confirmation of good orbit insertion. While we are just a few minutes away from payload deployment, it's going to happen between ground station coverage. So confirmation will come on X when we regain coverage later on in the mission. All of us here at SpaceX want to thank our customer Maxar for entrusting us with today's launch. And of course, we'd also like to thank the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's mission. This will conclude our webcast coverage of SpaceX's 44th launch of 2024 and 339th overall mission to date. If you're interested in even more launch coverage, be sure to check spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again soon.